So if you're following along at home, guys, and you're doing the 2025 bingo card, we now have Micah Parsons' brother praising the Bengals and saying the Cowboys should copy the Bengals and praising the fact that Joe Burrow had no offensive line. Yeah, we're getting into it, boys. So here's what he said. He said, all I've been preaching, lol. We watched Joe Burrow get sacked 9 times and make the Super Bowl. Why? He had 3 wide receivers who would win. Who could? I think he means could win. Who could win or would win? I don't know. And a decent run game. And even their defense made plays when it mattered. And first off, he's not wrong. Obviously, that Raiders game, Jermaine Pratt gets the game-winning interception. Our defense was a lot better, We had Jesse Bates back in the Super Bowl year. So he isn't wrong about our defense back then. Was actually pretty damn good. And compared to nowadays, it's a ghost of his former self, which Al Golden's can completely shift around. So get ready, because Al Golden's about to absolutely shatter every single person's expectations. But I don't know if that's really what this comes down to be honest. The original tweet was, Cowboys, it's time to prioritize playmakers in the draft. At some point, we had to invest in a true difference maker, a skilled player who can change the game with the ball in his hands. I'm officially out on drafting offensive linemen in the first round this year. Okay, so let's unpack this. Skill position players are always exciting, right? And I do agree. You need playmakers on your team to be a successful team. But I don't understand why there is this narrative, and it's been this narrative forever. Protecting your quarterback is better than any playmaker you could ever get. Because if Joe Burrow gets sacked within 3 seconds, it's really hard to get the ball to Jamar Chase. It's really hard to get the ball to A, B, C, D, E, F, G when you're on the ground and there's a guy on top of you. Pause on that, by the way. It's really hard to do that. And I think this has been the Bengals front office's perspective for a very long time. If you have enough playmakers, you don't have to worry about the offensive line. But the fact is, that's not true at all. You have to protect the offense. You have to work on the offensive line. You have to win in the trenches. The Eagles won the Super Bowl last year based on winning in the trenches. Offensive line, defensive line. If my defensive line can overpower your offensive line, I'm going to win on defense. If my offensive line can stop your defensive line, I'm going to win on offense. If your offensive line is good, you can run the ball. If your offensive line is good, you can throw the ball. Yes, skill possession players and playmakers very important. But you need the fundamentals of protecting your quarterback. And especially with Dak Prescott, who also has a lot of injury concerns. I don't know if we realize this, but Dak is not 100% always healthy. He gets hurt a lot. You want to protect him. You want to protect Joe Burrow. You want to protect your quarterback. So, I don't know if I agree with the perspective of, we're done with offensive linemen in the first round. We got to go get a playmaker. Because here's the thing, right? It's also harder to hit a steal playmaker in the first round rather than it is an offensive lineman. Yes, there are bust offensive linemen in the first round. If you really go through history, you can see. But I feel like less common than hitting on a wide receiver, for example. Yes, there's some great receivers in the first round throughout history, but then there's also a lot of good receivers who aren't first round picks, who are second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round picks, who blossom because they go to a scheme that develops them and makes them amazing. Unless you have a top 10 pick, and even then, Tavon Austin, for example, I think he was a top 10 guy, it doesn't always work out. John Ross with us, if you remember that. It doesn't always work out even in the first round. T. Higgins was a second round pick. So, and then other than that, I mean, if you're going running back in the first round, it's not like running back is going to always hit either. There's been a lot of busts. Trent Richardson, running backs in the first round. I feel like the safer pick is to go lineman. Whether it is offense, if you're talking about just strictly offense, it usually is offensive line. It's usually a safer pick. Especially if you get like a tackle, you can usually move in the guard. You know, there's different things you can do. But I don't know if I agree with Micah's brother here, to be honest. Yes, at the end of the day, we did get to the Super Bowl with a bad offensive line. Now, it's not the formula you want to follow. Why do you think we haven't been there since? The following year, after we got to the Super Bowl, we were back in the AFC Championship game versus the same exact team, the Chiefs. Why did we lose that game? Because Hakeem, who was on the in, because our right tackle was hurt, and we had no right tackle, he gets thrown backwards into Joe Burrow on 3rd down and long because he couldn't block Chris Jones. Now, Chris Jones, not easy to block him, but if we had a good right tackle and a good offensive line, that never happens. Situation's completely different. You know, we go down the field there, score a touchdown, game over, we win. We go to the Super Bowl. So, it's a very interesting concept, but you do need your offensive line. You can get playmakers, and you can really mess up getting playmakers, but you need your offensive line. Now, if you're trying to make the argument, well, you could trade for, like, Tyreek Hill, for example, something like that, right? Then, yeah, that's a completely different story then, because that's a proven guy. It's a proven playmaker. You're talking about drafting someone who you don't know at the end of the day it's going to hit or not. He could completely be a bust. He could be a great player and have injury concerns and never play football. We've also seen that. You know, protecting your quarterback is very important because or else you're going to be in week 15 with that star receiver you just got and now Cooper Rush is gone. Who is their quarterback? Joe Milton at quarterback. And running the ball every single play with Joe Milton. So, it's a protect your quarterback. That's what I got to say. That's really what I got to say at the end of the day. Oh, man, this is not what I expected to see today. Don't protect your quarterback. Get playmakers. No. Get playmakers. But protect your quarterback first. Look at priorities. Settle all your priorities and then worry about other things like, again, developing and getting playmakers. And again, a lot of playmakers is about development. So you still need great coaching and stuff like that in order for your playmakers to be great. I don't know. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.